Hello and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Saur Darkchylde, and welcome back to Let's Play the Apollo Justice Ace Attorney Trilogy. Also, Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Dual Destinies. Last time we did our second day investigation on Case 2 of the fifth game in the series. Apparently, a lot of things are taking a turn for the worst. That's going to make our client look even more guilty. Let's see. Our client is currently pretending to be possessed. A rumor has been going around saying that our client's daughter, Jinxie, is under the possession of Timitaro, when really she's just sleepwalking due to chronic stress. And Phineas Filch is still around, practicing to be on the stand once again, thanks to Mr. LaBelle. And not only that, just before the episode ended, we heard quite the testimony from, quite the confession from Jinxie that we probably wish we never heard, saying that her father confessed to the crime of murder. Yeah, we're really up a creek without a paddle for this. How are we gonna get out of it? Well, sit back and relax and watch as we find out. April 19th. 2027, 9:30 a.m. District Court, courtroom number 4. Court is now back in session for the trial of Damien Emma. Apollo Justice, defense team leader, is ready, Your Honor. Athena Sykes, assistant defender, is ready too, Your Honor. Should just perfect. As chipper as ever, I see. And in French, no less. Yes, and what of the prosecution? Very well, then. By the way, I asked Detective Fulbright to provide sturdier shackles today. There will be no more of your funny business this time, Prosecutor Blackwell. Now, your opening statement, if you would. I believe it's standard procedure for the prosecution to handle it. Looks like the judge is really bringing it today. He probably realized how Blackwell played him. That was one mean game of Simon Says. Yeah, His Honor has to fight to defend his honor today. Your baldness. It pains me to say, it's plain to see that you're always dreamed of delivering an epic opening statement. I have? I don't know if I've said that. Why, of course you have. I saw it in your eyes the last time you gave an opening statement. That look of the one who yearns deeply for the thrill of an epic opening statement. For decades now, you have been watching opening statements from your bench. They were the crown jewels of the court, the one thing you could not possess. The crown jewels of the court? Now, as long last they are within your grasp. How could you possibly refuse? So you don't mind if I do it, then? I'll make a special exception, just this once. There he goes again. Yep. More of Blackwill's mind games. Well, in that case, I think I might go ahead and make an opening statement myself. In yesterday's session, we learned the shocking truth that the victim, Alderman Rex Kubai, was the Amazing Ninetales. We also learned that the Amazing Ninetales was the key figure in the yokai craze and anti-merger protests. It further revealed that upon learning Rex Kubai's secret identity, Mayor Damien Tenma murdered him. The fact that the crime took place in a highly locked room was also brought to light. And the only people in that tightly locked room were the defendant and the victim. The defense proposed the existence of a hypothetical third party. But further investigation revealed no proof of a third party who had escaped the room. Ergo, we must conclude that the evidence against the defendant is, well, conclusive. Did I say something wrong? That was quite astonishing. You've truly outdone yourself this time. Oh, one more thing to boast about my grandchild. For my grandchild. Well, this is not an unexpected turn of events. Now then, it seems the prosecution has called a new witness to testify. The inexplicable yokai evidence left at the scene of the crime. Well, does that not demand some sort of explanation? The feathers and tracks, weren't those left by the mayor while he was possessed? That was but an act to protect his daughter. Oh, yes, of course. I had suspected as much. Wait, did he actually believe the mayor's award-winning performance? His daughter was the one who planted the yokai evidence. Ergo, the true identity of the yokai in the manor was the manor's maid, Jinxie Tenma. Objection! The prosecution is engaging a mere conjecture. Would you care for some witness's testimony then? For I am ready to prove that the little scamp is the one behind the Tenma Toro farce. Witness testimony. It'll be I'll bet he means Filch and that creep LaBelle. Very well then. Bailiff, would you bring in the first witness? Mr. Filch, you made quite a hasty exit yesterday. See that it doesn't happen again, okay?
Been known for my hasty retreat since I was a kid. But bit of a trademark of mine.
Indeed. You managed to give a total of 5 bailiffs the slip.
Like those amateurs could never nab me. Yipes!
Perhaps we should shackle you by the neck. That would keep you in place.
Yipes! No, please! I'm liable to rip my own head off if I start running!
Your statement now.
Yes, sir. Mr. Blackquill, sir. He may be a bit hasty.
He may be a hasty retreat. He may be a hasty retreat, but there's no escaping Prosecutor Blackwell. Yeah, Blackwell doesn't strike me as the give-up-easy type. Now then, Mr. Filch, your testimony, please. Specifically, the true nature of the yokai you saw in the manor shortly after the crime. Knowing Filch, it's probably gonna be all lies.
Temataro's really that little maid gal. Oh, ain't no doubt about it. I mean, the Temataro I saw was just a little thing, about her size. But the little run had a big old staff I seen it when she came into the foyer. Betcha she stole it from the Forbidden Chamber after stumbling on the crime scene. Now, she was gonna use it to wallop me on account of my farce reputation. I just know it.
So, Tematoro, in short, is short in stature. And that's because it was Miss Jinxie Temma all along?
You betcha. Besides, all the rest of the manor were way taller than her.
Feigning height is but an easy thing. But a big ox like the defendant could never pass for short. What if the Temataro impersonator was walking on their knees?
Weren't no need walking, I'd seen it myself.
Then perhaps that yokai really was Miss Temma after all. All monsters are not but tricks, either of mine or the cheap parlor variety. So you're saying she created an illusion like the one of those magic eye things? Precisely. Human senses are easily deceived. Take the fellow in the cell next to me. Each night he cries and screams about some ghost he thinks he sees. But in truth, it was simply the janitor. Ho ho ho! Prosecutor Blackwell just gave up the ghost, literally! The janitor's deathly expression and all-white attire are, no doubt, practically to blame. That and the fact that he constantly mutters about taking vengeance for this and that. That actually sounds like a real ghost to me. The defense may now cross-examine the witness.
Temataro's really that little maid gal. There ain't no doubt about it.
Hold it!
Mr. Filch, you and Mr. LaBelle mentioned something about a practice yesterday. Do you deny this so-called lesson was about what you were supposed to say in court?
No, you got it all wrong.
Then could you please tell the court exactly what sort of lesson it was?
Oh, what was it again? Yipes! Now I remember! Math! Numbers and stuff!
He's completely under Blackwell's control, too.
Anyway, that Temataro was that little maid gal, so what's the difference? I mean, the Temataro I saw was a little thing, about her size.
Hold it!
I take it you got a good look at how tall the Temataro impersonator was?
Yeah, betcha. I got a habit of sizing people up. I can even give you the perimeter on how I pull it off. All under the table, Natch. I got a knack for figuring out where people's pockets are and how much money they have. I size them real good before I relieve them of their stuff.
He just admitted it to being a pickpocket right here in court. Does the witness hold that this Emmett entered the foyer?
Darn right I do. But that little runt had a big old staff. I seen it when she came right into the foyer.
Well, you're not going to brush it all off by claiming the perp was short.
Musta hit a raw nerve, cause you ain't that all yourself.
Look who's talking, mister. I've got to stand on a box just to testify. Anyway, Mr. Filch, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't you say the Temitoro you saw had a staff?
Cross my heart and hope to die. Hey, I know, cause I went in a jingle and a jangle.
And where do you suppose that staff came from?
The staff, you say? Well, betcha she stole it from the Forbidden Chamber after stumbling upon the crime scene.
Objection!
It would seem that Temitoro was, in fact, not this innocent little girl.
Eh? How you figure that?
You claim Temitoro, you claim that the Temitoro, you claim that the Temitoro you saw had one of those stabs from the Forbidden Chamber. But it would have been impossible for Miss Emma to get a hold of one. Care to elaborate, Mr. Justice? The mayor swallowed this key shortly after the murder. He wanted to keep the killer out of the Forbidden Chamber. What's this? This key was deep in the mayor's stomach when Miss Emma discovered the crime. So you see, it would have been impossible for her to get into the Forbidden Chamber. In short, the Temitoro holding that staff could not have been Jinxie's Emma.
Ah!
What? But then, who does the defense believe was impersonating Temitoro? Our Temitoro impersonator is none other than Mayor. Such accusations begs evidence. Aside from his ghastly appearance, can you prove he is the yokai we seek? Yes, in fact, I can. Very well. Let's see where the defense is going with this. Mr. Justice, please show us proof as to the true identity of the Temitoro impersonator.
Take that!
We found this hand cream in the Forbidden Chamber. And we know that whoever was Temitoro took one of the stabs out of there, and in short, I believe whoever this hand cream belongs to is the yokai impersonator we're looking for. But, Mr. Justice, how do you propose to identify the hand cream's owner? I'm glad you asked, Your Honor. The defense requests a fingerprints analysis on this piece of evidence. It might tell us who it belongs to. Interesting. So you expect to find the yokai's prints there? Very well. I hereby call a short recess while we wait for the fingerprints result. No need for that, your boldness. We have the prince of everyone at the manor that day. You called Prosecutor Blackquill? Could anyone be more whipped? Fulbright, analyze this for Prince. You have 3 minutes. Your wish is my command! Very well then. I guess we'll just sit here and wait right here. It would seem the fingerprints analysis is complete. What do the results show? What in the world? They're Florent Labelle's prints, aren't they? This is absurd! Prosecutor Blackquill? I'm not going to like this, am I? Don't tell me! They're Temataro's prints! Fingerprints analysis had revealed that the prints belonged to Phineas Filch.
Objection!
Wait, what? What? Then Mr. Labelle wasn't the one who entered the Forbidden Chamber?
Objection!
Why, you tricksy little Tanuki. Explain yourself now!
Sure, them prints are mine. I mean, I did pilfer her that hand cream from Mr. Labelle after all.
So, you're the one who entered the Forbidden Chamber?
So what if I did? Got a problem with it? Yipes!
You fool of a Tanuki! Order! Order! Mr. Justice, care to explain what this could mean? Excellent question. The fact that Mr. Filch was in the Forbidden Chamber... Wait a second. Does this mean that the Temataro holding that staff was Phineas Filch?
Yipes! Another cat out of the bag!
Mr. Filch is Temataro? I don't understand. Does this mean Mr. Filch is the real killer? The witness will explain himself this instant!
Begging your pardon, your honorship, but I was just doing what the alderman told me. He wanted me to beat Temataro in the village exorcism ritual.
Oh, you mean that event at Ninetails Valley Festival? So, that was you inside that Temataro costume?
Yep, and after that event, I went to watch a pro wrestling program. But it bored me to tears on account of the wrestlers were complete jabbers.
So, he didn't actually watch the entire wrestling match?
That's when I looked at the Temataro costume and got a great idea. Nobody can tell it's me while I'm wearing it. And because of them superstitions, no matter what I do, the villagers won't say a word.
In other words, you use the superstitions of every render and eventually render yourself invisible. Why did you want to enter the Forbidden Chamber in the first place?
Because of that treasure there. Thought that was my big chance to sneak on and nab it.
Treasure?
Only that it's the greatest get-rich-quick scheme in the universe. Grandpappy told me all about it. Said there's an amazing treasure in there.
He went in there not knowing his grandfather had already pilfered it. Guess that's one tale that didn't get passed down from grandpappy to grandson. Wait, how exactly did you get into the Forbidden Chamber? There was a meeting in the Fox Chamber that day. Plus, the mayor swallowed the only key that could open the Forbidden Chamber's door. You couldn't have possibly gotten in.
I could through the air vent in the foyer.
The vents left after the Alderman's picture. It went on and in. I went on in and made a nice little hole. I used that to get into the air duct that leads to the Forbidden Chamber, I did.
You what?
But how's that even possible? Wait a sec. Remember that air vent that in the Forbidden Chamber? So Mr. Filch found a way to get into that air duct? And that's how he got from the foyer vent to the Forbidden Chamber vent. So Tenmataro was nothing more than a cat burglar, or rather a tanuki burglar. And we're back to being without anyone in charge of the Alderman's murder. Looks like our soul cloud yokai is nothing more than a big troublemaker. Tell me, Mr. Filch, what did you do after fleeing the foyer?
I got out of that costume right quick. Would have just caused trouble at that point.
And where is that costume now?
Heck if I know. Oh, and it ain't my fault if you never find it.
The police searched every nook and cranny. No yokai costume was found left in that manor. What if it was tossed outside the manor?
Ah!
No way! But maybe, just maybe. The defense seems to have hit upon an idea. Well, go on, Mr. Justice. Okay, here's what I think. Mr. Filch, did you get rid of the costume here?
Take that!
Did you toss it out the window? Because you would certainly that would certainly explain why it didn't turn up inside the manor.
You think I tossed it out the window? Oh, that costume cost me a pretty penny. So why would I do something like that?
I can think of a few reasons. Any bright ideas, Apollo? Well, assuming the costume really was tossed out from the window, then the next question would be, what happened to it after that? And if I'm right, I might have just the thing to prove what happened to the costume. Phineas Filch, I have just the evidence for you.
You do?
This evidence proves that you got rid of your Tenmataro costume through the window.
Take that!
Ah, that's... Tenmataro flying through the sky.
And just how does that prove Mr. Filch threw his costume out the window? It's quite simple. That Tenmataro in the photo is the costume Mr. Filch threw out.
Ah, that's crazy talk. You ain't serious, are ya?
There's a steep cliff right outside the foyer window, meaning the manor is pretty high up. The costume flew through the air after it was tossed out. That's when the photo was taken. In other words, the photo of Tenmataro really was a flight of fancy. What?
Yikes!
Oh my, so there really wasn't a yokai.
Aw, I can't keep any of those things cats bagged. And can I still file a claim for a lost costume?
This more than proves the defense's position. Jinxie Tema had nothing to do with staging the yokai sighting. Care to raise any objections, Prosecutor Blackquill? None whatsoever. I deal with that Trixie Tanuki after I've dealt with this case. We did it. Good going. Now all we have to do is make Florent LaBelle take the stand.
Objection!
Sheathing the sword a bit early, are we not? Huh? Nothing has been proven beyond a doubt. Take this tricksy little Tanuki, for instance. How do you suppose he was able to exit the Forbidden Chamber? Probably the same way he got in, through the chamber's air vent? And what of the feathers and tracks at the scene of the crime? They would suggest that the Tanuki exited through the chamber door, not the air vent.
Objection!
But the Forbidden Chamber doesn't open from the inside. So what you're saying makes no sense, right? Someone on the outside opened the door for you. Isn't that right?
Yep, that's right, Mr. Blackjack. The door suddenly sprung right open.
Hold it!
Sprung right open? Who was on the other side?
Didn't get a good look on account of the sudden glare.
Like how the reflection from my head blinds fellow moviegoers emerging from the dark.
That's when I snatched that staff and made my daring escape. And then that little maid gal spotted me as I hailed it down the hall.
That means the Forbidden Chamber wasn't open until after the crime was discovered. But wait. We still don't know who opened it. Maybe there really was a third person in the Fox Chamber?
Objection!
Well, you little Tanuki. When the Forbidden Chamber opened, did you see the accused passed out there?
Nope. Only one there was the alderman, and he was dead as a doornail.
If the accused wasn't there, what do you suppose he was up to? Uh-oh. I don't like where this is going. Ah! Don't tell me! Plainly, the only one who could have opened the Forbidden Chamber was the accused Damien Dama. Ah!
Wait a second. And there has to be somebody else besides Mayor Tema there.
Really? And who might that be?
Oh, well, that would be...
Objection!
It seems our feisty little lass has forgotten the most important thing. Evidence.
I didn't forget. I was just testing your attention to the details.
Miss Sykes, you can't prove your point without proof of some sort. It's proven a fact.
Sorry, guess I put my foot in my mouth again.
No, Athena, we're definitely on to something here.
We are?
Think about it. If Filch was stuck inside the Forbidden Chamber, one of the alibis we've heard would no longer hold any water. The defense would like to call a new witness to the stand. Someone who knew Mr. Filch was stuck in the Forbidden Chamber. And by virtue of knowing this, has an alibi that no longer adds up. Not that insufferable. Very well. The court will hear what Mr. Justice has to say. Whose alibi no longer adds up?
Take that!
Why, that's the defendant's aide, Florent LaBelle. Didn't he claim to be in the foyer at the time of the crime? True, but in his alibi, he also claimed Mr. Filch was in the foyer too. However, as we all know now, Mr. Filch was not there with Mr. LaBelle at the time. In short, Mr. LaBelle's alibi has disappeared. Florent LaBelle's alibi was one big lie. Isn't that right, Mr. Filch?
I reckon there ain't no keeping that cat in the bag there, either. It was all Mr. LaBelle's idea. He told me he buttoned his lip about me breaking into the Forbidden Chamber. And in return, I say we'd vouch for each other's alibi.
Shame on you, Mr. Filch. Perjury is a serious crime, you know.
Ah, shucks. Mercy, your honorship. Mercy. Yark!
I also assert that the person who opened the Forbidden Chamber for Mr. Filch was none other than Florent LaBelle. After all, his alibi has just proven to be a complete fabrication. I see. We will take a 20-minute recess, after which we will see what Mr. LaBelle has to say for himself.
Yes.
We're finally going to drag that slippery snake into the stand. In the meantime, the prosecution will question Mr. LaBelle about these new allegations.
We did it, Apollo. Oh, we finally dragged Mr. LaBelle into court.
Yeah.
Hey, why the long face?
I can't help but feel I'm missing something important. Plus, Prosecutor Blackwell's bound to mount our counterattack.
You really are a worrywart, aren't you? It'll be fine. That mystery figure who opened the Forbidden Chamber for Mr. Filch had to have been Mr. Florent LaBelle.
I know, but that's not what's bugging me. I wish I could put my finger on it, though.
In any case, the big showdown with Mr. LaBelle is up next, so chin up, Apollo.
Now his hair is green. Court is now back in session. Our next witness is... Yes, I'm acting on behalf of the mayor in this very important matter. It seems the witness is predisposed at the moment. Surely you jest. Yes, I will hold you to that to your promise. Remember that. Oh, my deepest apologies. This is Florent Labelle, personal aide to Mayor Temba. Or should I say, the accused.
Ouch. Like the poor mayor hasn't suffered enough.
Well, what business have you with me? I'm a very busy man, so let's make this as brief as possible.
Your boldness.
Right. Mr. Filch's testimony has revealed a hole in your alibi. And for this reason, you are suspected of having some sort of connection with the case at hand. To think I'd be associated with this entirely lurid affair. Well, I'm not. So, may I go now? I have very important matters to attend to.
Objection!
I don't think so, Mr. LaBelle. Well, do you realize what a serious crime you've committed to?
Witness, you are being accused of perjury. This is your chance to clear the air. Fine. The truth is I faked my alibi for a very good reason. The mayor was obviously the killer, so I created a fake alibi to confuse the matter. You see, as his personal aide, I felt I had to protect him. Sorry!
You think this is funny? Without your alibi, you're suspected too. What were you really going to do at the time? What were you really doing at the time of the crime?
Peasant, how dare you accuse me? One of the most beautiful...
Stop stalling and tell the Corps what you were really doing at the time of the crime.
Silence!
Enough jabbering. Swords have been drawn. The time for talk is past.
Swords? What swords?
This is a duel to the death. The fate of the accused rests in your hands.
Begone, ye old cowardly heart. The battlefield has no place for ye. Again?
Oh my. Spare me, please!
So much for sturdier shackles. Ugh!
Those chains hindered my vow to that thread, that heads will roll this day.
This gives keeping your head on in court a whole new meaning.
Will the witness please deliver the accused's death knell? You know what I speak. Most certainly. He goes. His goose is already cooked. Time to stick the fork in him.
Whatever he has to say can't be good.
As I told Prosecutor Blackwell during the recess, I rushed right over to the Fox chamber where I heard little Jinxie scream.
What?
Then, drumroll please, I saw Mayor Temma opening the forbidden chamber doors.
But...
There you have it. The mystery man who opened the chamber door, as witnessed by one Phineas Filch. It was the accused. There was never any third party. Oh, and that's not all. I heard something quite startling there at the scene of the crime.
Startling? Sounds bad.
The mayor, who was barely conscious, muttered this. Forgive me, Jinxie. I killed the alderman. That's right. The mayor actually confessed to the murder right then and there. He confessed? Order! Order in the court! This is quite conclusive testimony if it stands! Just so. And quite astonishing, I might add. I only learned of this fact during the recess. I just love surprises, don't you? That's why I saved the best for last. Consider it a gift from me to you.
No way. I don't believe Mr. LaBelle heard the mayor's confess.
But is this really true? Did Mayor Emma really confess? It is indeed. During that last recess, I confirmed it with the mayor's daughter. It would seem Mayor Emma actually did confess. That testimony is quite favorable to the prosecutions. This is LaBelle. Yes, I called earlier about that party reservations. That's right. And I'll be calling my little shining Mayor Tamma's conviction gala. A splendid time is guaranteed for us all. All but the mayor, her, and his defense. Well, as it seems our witness is a very busy man, let's get right to this testimony. Mr. LaBelle, please tell us what you saw when you came up on the scene of the crime. I was in the hallway, hiding in the shadows. That's when I heard the confession. Upon learning of her father's crime, little Jinxie had fled without ever noticing me. Immediately after that, the mayor stood up and opened the forbidden chamber. As I ran in terror, the demon emerged from his prison. In shock, I fled down the hallway to my right, to the one with the phone at the end. I must say, this is a shocking revelation. Quite unexpected. To think the defendant actually confessed then and there to his crime. Perhaps his guilt was too much to bear, so he confessed to his daughter. You do realize you should not have withheld such crucial testimony from the court. Once again, sorry. I feared her being accused of if I mentioned coming up on the most unpleasant scene. Why did the mayor confess have to be brought up by this guy?
We better do something before the judge declares the mayor guilty.
As a death row inmate once told me in years gone by, there is a time to fight and a time to yield, a time to live and a time to die.
He's lying it on real thick now.
The defense may cross-examine the witness. Don't bother trying to press him. He's just gonna dodge all of your questions. I was in the hallway, hiding in the shadows. That's when I heard the confession. Upon learning of her father's crime, little Jinxie fled without ever noticing me. Immediately after that, the mayor came to, stood up, and opened the forbidden chamber. As I ran in terror, the demon emerged from his prison. In shock, I fled down the hallway to my right, to the one with the phone at the end.
Objection!
Florent LaBelle, you're lying about having witnessed the events from the hallway. What on earth do you mean? Yes, care to fill the rest of us in, Mr. Justice? If Mr. LaBelle really had fled down into the hall with the phone in it, he would have crossed paths with Miss Tenma. What's this? After she discovered the crime scene, she immediately went to call the police. Then after making her call, she went back to the main hallway, whereupon she encountered the demon yokai, or whatever you want to call it. As for me, I call it Phineas Filch in the Temataro costume. The encounter happened right there where the hallway meets. As for Mr. LaBelle, if he had fled here, her feigning escape from the yokai imposter. Why, yes, the two would have crossed paths. Right, except Miss Tenma told us that there was no one else in the hallway. In short, Miss Tenma did not see you in the hallway because you were never really there. My eyes! My beautiful eyes! Ha! Not such a fabulous scent now, is it? But Mr. Justice, the witness also stated that he heard the mayor confess. If he was lying about hearing the confession from the hall, then where was he when he heard it? Inside the Fox Chamber. Where else? But isn't that within the very crime scene? It is, Your Honor, and that means he's not really a witness. Rather, he's the third party we've been alleging this whole time. What? You think I'm the killer? How dare you?
Silence.
Foolish fop. A true man knows when he is beaten. A shield of lies comes to naught before a foe with a sword of truth bared. Prosecutor Blackwell, what are you? I thought we were on the same side. You are mistaken. There are no sides here, save for my cold, steely edge of judgment. You are alone upon this battlefield, with naught but your lies and silky sweet perfume. Whoa! What just happened? Blackwell's really tearing into him! You heard the mayor's confession from inside? Did you not, you deviant dandy? For the sole location from which you could have seen or heard the mayor and the Tanuki, without either of them knowing you were there in the Fox Chamber. Oh my! So that's how it's going to be. Fine, I'll come clean then. Seriously? You admit to being there in the Fox chamber? I do. I did enter the room after the murder. But I was afraid of being falsely accused, so I lied about it. I feel terrible about lying like that, but it's a verbal cologne that I use, who's to protect myself. You better explain yourself, Mr. LaBelle. Yes, of course. I was just about to get to that. The witness is skating on thin ice. I'll remind you that perjury is a very serious crime. Now, let's hear your testimony again, this time without your perfume of lies. In the Fox chamber. I did enter the Fox chamber after the murder. But I didn't enter until after Jinxie had heard the confession and left. I heard the mayor groan and hid behind the folding screen there. What I saw there, her up close, it was absolutely horrifying. So you see, I was there, but merely watching from behind the screen. From behind the screen? Why, yes, I believe you wouldn't be spotted if you were there. Just so he could see everything without being spotted, hid by the victim or that Tanuki Filch. Suffice to say, he was a mere witness to the events rather than an actual third party. This guy's as slippery as an eel.
Apollo, oh, you think he's telling the truth?
Well, he was in the Fox chamber, so at least that much it must be true. The defense may cross-examine our slightly voyeuristic witness. I did enter the Fox chamber after the murder.
Hold it!
Why in the world would you enter that grisly crime scene? Why? Because I was worried sick. Mayor Tem must sue it. It what? It was designed personally by me. I was worried my work of art might get blood on it. This man clearly has his priorities in order. Okay, let's get this over with, shall we? Now, where was I? Oh yes, so I entered the Fox chamber almost without thinking. But I didn't enter until after Jinxie had heard the confession and left.
Hold it!
Why didn't you enter right away? And ruin my designer shoes? Your shoes? Even now, just thinking about getting blood on my fabulous footwear. It sends chills down my spine. That's why I hesitated.
That's terrible. A man was dying and another injured. You're just worried about your shoes?
Silence!
Need I remind you, this is a court of law. We are not teaching morality here. We have schools of etiquette and the likes for such trivial pursuits.
Yeah.
Now, you listen to me, you deceptive dandy. Get to the point and be quick about it. Yes, well, I was there in the fox chamber, but I heard the mare groan and hid behind the folding screen there.
Hold it!
Wait a second. Why did you hide yourself? Oh my. So you do understand. I do. By hiding, I was concealing my fabulous beauty, which for the sake of the universe is something I would never ever do. That's what you were thinking, right? I'm sensing a black hole of symmetry forming around the witness stand. We can deliberate his mental process after another time. Get on with it. Well, regarding to the murder scene, what I saw there up close, it was absolutely horrifying.
Hold it!
Could you describe the crime scene in a bit more detail? And what exactly would you like details about? Well, what I'd like to ask you about is, could you describe the state of the weapons that have been used at that scene? The spear had been thrusted all the way through Alderman Kubai. Though there was that statue of the Alderman, and used to bludgeon Mayor Temma, that incredibly inspiring symbol had fallen to the floor. All right, the statue. But why would he find it inspiring? Why exactly did you find the statue inspiring? Well, when I saw that statue, I felt as if the merger had been realized. It was like a celebration union between the town and the village, an inspiring symbol of goodwill. A broken statue next to a bloody corpse? Real inspiring. Well, Mr. Justice, do you consider this statement to be any importance? It's very important. I believe that to be extremely important. I request that it be added to the testimony. A statue had fallen to the floor. It was a token of goodwill celebrating the merger.
Objection!
Your lies have finally betrayed you, Mr. LaBelle. What possibly could you mean? You said this statue was like a celebration of union between town and village? Isn't that correct? It is indeed, but what of it? The two yokai are joining hands of goodwill, as if they were celebrating the municipal merger. Something the matter? So, how did you really know that this statue was meant to be a symbol of goodwill again? What? Justice Dono, explain yourself, and make it quick. This statue was meant to symbolize goodwill in its original form, but that was the secret. A secret? Whatever do you mean? What I mean is that it broke when someone used it to strike Mayor Temma on the head. What's left clearly makes it look like the two yokai are battling it out. The statue's secret and its true form were lost inside that locked room. For Miss Tenma is the only living soul who should know what it once looked like. So, Mr. LaBelle, where could you have possibly seen the statue in its original form? What do you mean, where? The only possible answer is this. You saw that statue in its original form. Right there in the room where the alderman was murdered before it was broken. How dare you? Mr. Justice, are you accusing the witness of some sort of crime? Yes. Yes, I am. Florent LaBelle, I accuse you of the murder of Mr. Alderman Rex Kubai. Ugh! Order! Order! Mr. LaBelle, you've been accused of murder. Do you have anything to say in your defense? How could you possibly accuse me, the embodiment of beauty?
Way to go, Apollo. Oh, this is the conclusive evidence we need. Magnifico!
We've got you now. Oh, we know you killed the alderman. Now admit it!
Silence.
Enough of your silly games, Justice Dono. This prancing peacock could not possibly be the killer.
Objection!
What are you talking about? His alibi has already crumbled to dust. And I just proved that he was in the Fox chamber while it was still locked tight.
Silence.
Why could he have not seen the statue in its true form before the murder? After all, he was close friends with the alderman. Ergo. Yes, that's right. I clearly remember it now. Alderman Rex Kubai told me about it. About what the statue actually looked like. I mean, he was a good friend of mine.
Yeah, right. He wouldn't told you a secret gift just like that.
Silence.
Moreover, it was already been proven that he was not present at the scene of the crime.
It has?
Forgetting, have we? Recall the little scamp's statement, if you will. When Jinxie Tenma unlocked the Fox chamber, she saw the alderman and the mayor collapse therein, and no one else.
Oh. Dang it.
The fact is, it was you two who made that apparent in yesterday's court session. Thus, Florent LaBelle could not possibly have been in that locked room.
No!
I just don't get it. How could Jinxie not have seen Mr. LaBelle? The proof is incontrovertible. No room for debate exists. Am I not right, your baldness? It does seem awfully conclusive. The fact points to the defendant and the victim being the only people in that locked room. Moreover, the defendant had already confessed.
Objection! Silence.
But I didn't say anything. You cannot defend the indefensible. Your role is to, in this charade, is over, Justice Dono.
But...
Your baldness. This trial would last an eternity if we were to keep crossing blades with these simpletons. It is high time you brought down the hammer of justice. A point well made. I believe it's time to declare a verdict. The court finds the defendant, Damien Emma. Hold it! Caw, 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 caw. It would seem that my time is at hand. Mayor Temma? Counselor, there is a matter of which I must testify. I recall it now only for a good graces. Counselor? Oh, right, he must be me. Has he finally remembered what happened before that blow to his head? Bailiff, don't just stand there, seize him! It's no good, I can't restrain him! Caw, 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 caw! Know me and despair, for I am Amatoro, Demon Lord of the Yokai. Mr. Justice, do something! Since when am I responsible for court security?
Apollo, this is our chance. We might get some new information out of him.
Your Honor, seeing as our client has something new to say, I believe due process demands that we hear him out, even if he is a yokai. When you put it that way, still I believe testimony by a yokai is unprecedented in the legal world. Unprecedented is absurdly more like. Alright then, Mr. Damien Emma, or should I say Mr. Emataro, your testimony, please. I shall now speak of recollections for most real, courtesy of my host Damien Temma. Heed these words, mortals, for hear them but once you shall. Caw, 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 caw. Barely conscious as Damien there amid the darkness, suddenly two yokai did appear. On one side, I, Emataro, the ruler of demonkind, and the other, my mortal enemy, the nine-tailed fox. So is the defendant asserting that the room he was in was very dark at the time? Strange as it may be, yes, indeed, all was in darkness. And the part about Temataro and the nine-tailed fox being there? Yes, that too. Temataro towered over the nine-tails, towered overhead, and the nine-tails veil glittered gold. Ugh! I call animal abuse, Your Honor! It would seem the defendant's recollections are not to be trusted. Yes, well, truth be told, my Holt's recollections are still a bit fuzzy. As if half-dreamt that happened lingers hers in his mind.
Apollo, maybe I can help here.
Really? So you mean...
Yeah, I can hear it, the discord in his heart. I sense an unusual emotion in Mayor Temma's memory.
Okay. I just hope our findings don't come back to haunt us again. Barely conscious was Damien there, amid in darkness. Suddenly, two yokai did appear. On one side, I, Tenmataro, ruler of demonkind. And on the other, my mortal enemy, the nine-tailed fox.
Got it!
When the nine-tailed fox appeared, you only experienced shock and sadness. But also something like joy as well? Joy? Perhaps it was joy of the light coming to my eyes at long last. A long and terrible creaking did pierce the silence. And then there was light. On reflection, it was a door that did produce that infernal racket. A creaking door. Oh, you must be talking about the Forbidden Chamber door. It does make a loud noise. So this means the Forbidden Chamber really was opened. But what about the sudden light he described? I think I know. He mentioned darkness and Tenmataro towering overhead. Maybe the mayor wasn't really in the Fox Chamber at the time of the crime. Mayor Tenma, did the darkness that you were in happen to be here?
Take that!
The Forbidden Chamber? Was it not the Fox Chamber where the murder did occur? Yes, but it all makes sense when you were in the Forbidden Chamber. There's a terrible creaking sound. That terrible creaking sound was probably the Forbidden Chamber's door opening. And the towering Tenmataro you saw, most likely the Forbidden Chamber's statue. Why, yes, that would explain it. The darkness and the staff have in the demon's grasp. But even if that's all true, then what about the nine-tailed fox? Maybe he was seeing things? Just like Jinxie and her imaginary yokai? Fantastical, Apollo. Oh, it's entirely possible. In a groggy, dreamlike state, people can misremember things and events. Misremember, you say? Let me think. I do believe I remember now. That was no nine-tailed fox. It was the amazing Ninetales. What? The amazing Ninetales? At first, this is but a dream, I thought. Now, however, most clearly I do recall it. 'Twas the amazing Ninetales who did open the Forbidden Chamber doors! I'm sorry I asked. The amazing Ninetales? But that was the victim, Alderman Kubai, right? Yeah. Why would he open the Forbidden Chamber? Wasn't he trying to keep it sealed? Never mind that. This is completely new information. Let me enter it and run an update. Barely conscious was Damien there in the Forbidden Chamber. Amidst the darkness, a mighty statue of Temataro loomed over. Suddenly the door did open, and a shaft of light did pierce the gloom. The amazing Ninetales had come to the rescue. Huh. Why do I detect sadness on that?
Got it!
When the amazing Ninetales opened the chamber, banishing the darkness within, you felt joy, but didn't you also feel shock and sadness? Yes, in the hazy depths of my mind, I do recollect something of that nature. I believe it was the friend's cape of red. For when I did behold it, a great wave of sadness did inexplicably wash over me. A cape of red? Apollo, we reduce the noise level. Oh, but there's still a little left. Mayor Temma, why were you sad when you saw the red cape? Why indeed? What could this mean? Guess his memory is still a little spotty. I know because his latest recollection contradicts the evidence. Yeah, it's one of those contradictions that slaps you right across the face. Something about this obvious could arise. When someone is trying to force a fuzzy memory into a definitive shape. Apollo, I know what you have to do. You need to present evidence that contradicts that image. Oh, so it's basically the same as the usual cross-examination process. Okay, time to review the evidence. Look out, contradiction. Here comes justice!
Objection!
You said the amazing Ninetales' cape was red. Are you sure about that? Yes, well, I do believe it was a red cape I saw, but... Mayor Temma, does this cape look red to you? Oh, that certainly does not look red. Not even scarlet or crimson either. Nevertheless, upon my liberation, something red did fill my as yet hazy field of view. And I thought to myself, the amazing Ninetales is a ride in a red cape. So you mistook that red something for this cape, huh? Apparently so. And remembering now brings a great sadness upon me. So the red something probably wasn't a cape at all. Maybe that great sadness he mentioned is what's interfacing with his memory. Interfering with his memory. Well, he would have seen the Fox chamber behind the amazing Ninetales. What red object could he have seen there that would have made that shocking? I know. It could have been... Mr. Mayor, was the red thing you saw this?
Take that!
Something red that could produce a deep sadness. Could it be, Mr. Tenma, that you saw was the Alderman's blood? Blood? Why, yes! It was blood! Oh! Oh! Ah! It's all coming back to me now. It wasn't a red cape that I saw. It was lying behind the amazing Ninetales, the Alderman's dead, bloody body.
Yeah. His noise level is down to 0. I think he's remembered everything now.
Does this mean the amazing Ninetales killed Alderman Kubai?
But the Alderman was the amazing Ninetales, so how exactly would that work?
Hey, I asked you first. Well, Mr. Justice, you sure know how to make a complicated matter even more complicated. True, but at the time of the crime, our client was in the Forbidden Chamber. Moreover...
Silence.
Hoy, don't you think this strange? The little scamp had already confirmed her father to be in the Fox Chamber. But she said naught about seeing the amazing Ninetales there. You just had to bring that up, didn't you?
Jinxie didn't see Mr. LaBelle there either. So weird. Who really was in that room then?
Would the defense care her to share any theories with the court? Can you explain the inconsistency between the defendant's testimony and his daughter's? Yes, I can. Yes, of course I can explain it. Because if I don't, we're in serious trouble. Not with more of your bluffs and fairy tales, I trust. Fair warning, Justice Dono. I shall have your head on if you fail to explain this. Eep. What about good old-fashioned penalty? Well, Mr. Justice, let's see if you have a head worth keeping on your shoulders. First of all, Mr. LaBelle was definitely in the Fox Chamber while it was locked. We also know that Mayor Tenma was in the Forbidden Chamber based on his testimony. These two facts are crucial to my explanation. So let us consider the following questions. If the facts point to Florent LaBelle and the victim being there at the scene, why did Jinxie Tenma see the victim and her father, Mayor Tenma? A very good question indeed. And I suppose you have an answer for this? Sadly, you would be supposing wrong.
You think she could have mistaken LaBelle for the mayor?
Well, if she did, then the question is, why did she do that? Well, how about you explain, how about that explanation, Mr. Justice? I believe the time for questions is over. The defense asserts that Mr. Florent LaBelle was at the scene of the crime. However, Jinxie Tenma has testified that she saw her father collapse there. If she has, in fact, misremembered the event, what could have made her do so? Isn't it obvious? The figure Miss Tenma saw was not her father. It was Florent LaBelle disguised as Damien Tenma.
Silence.
That is a complete impossibility. Their faces are utterly unalike. How could you explain that away with a mere disguise? Yes, they both do have incredibly distinctive faces. Maybe the disguise completely hid his face. I think Jinxie would have mentioned if she couldn't see her father's face. And if it was that sort of disguise, wouldn't she have removed it? Oh, right. Your sword is as dull as your mind, Justice Dodo. I shall show you what a truly sharp blade is capable of. I think I'll pass. Yuck! Are you okay, Apollo? I'm not fine, am I? Well, now that we have that little fairy tale out of the way, your baldness, your verdict, if you will. Mr. Justice, I believe it's time for a verdict. If you have no further arguments. What's even left for me to do? Apollo, remember what Mr. Wright always says. When you're stuck in a tight spot, turn the case upside down. Turn the case upside down. He does say that, doesn't he? But I don't quite see how it applies here. Still, never hurts to give it a try, I guess. Let's see. Rather than Jinxie didn't remove the disguise, maybe she couldn't remove it. And rather than she didn't tell anyone about the disguise, maybe it was she couldn't talk about it. A wrestler's mask is more precious than his own life. He'd never unmask himself in front of others. But there are matches where wrestlers battle for the right to remove each other's masks. To have your mask taken off is the worst humiliation a wrestler could suffer. That's why their mask is more important to them than life itself. And what about the fact that it was the Amazing Ninetales who opened the door? That mask, a mask that can't be removed in front of others. Can these facts turn these things around? We've got it all backwards! Apollo? I think we might have made a huge mistake! Your baldness, I see no need to further indulge them in their silly little farce. The defense has no proof. They never did, and they never will. Then it seems I must announce my verdict. I do have proof! Do you now? All right, but this better be good, Mr. Justice. We can solve the remaining riddles by turning all our assumptions upside down. Why Jinxie Emma mistook Mr. LaBelle for her father? Why she couldn't remove the costume or tell anyone about it in the first place. These riddles are exertively linked to Mayor Tenma's secret identity. A shocking secret identity that will turn the entire premise of this case upside down. This piece of evidence clearly reveals Mayor Tenma's secret identity.
Take that!
What absolute claptrap! Poppycock! Balderdash! We thought the alderman was the amazing Ninetails, and the mayor was Emataro. That's why we believe the mayor killed the alderman in the lust for Ninetails Vale. And it was basis for the prosecution's entire case against our client. However, we got the whole thing backwards. Mayor Tenma wasn't Temataro at all. He was the amazing Ninetails. What's this? You'd best explain yourself, Justice Dono. And from where you derive such a far-fetched conclusion. Jinxie no doubt knew the true identity of the amazing Ninetails, but she couldn't tell anyone no matter what. That's why she didn't say it was the amazing Ninetails she saw passed out. Even though, unbeknownst to her, it was really Florent LaBelle in disguise.
Silence.
The accused and that deceitful dandy are utterly dissimilar in physical build and voice. The little scamp would have seen the difference.
Objection.
Remember, Mr. LaBelle had his very own brand of cosmetics. Why couldn't he fake a different build too? And anyone speaking through a mask would naturally sound different.
Silence.
Why did she not simply pull the mask off?
Objection.
A masked wrestler's disguise is more precious to them than life itself. As a huge fan of the amazing Ninetails, she would never dare unmask him. This case of mistaken identity also explains the riddle of the locked room. Then by all means, Mr. Justice, answer it for us already. First, Mr. LaBelle entered the room where the mayor and alderman were talking. I suspect he brought with him coffee laced with some sort of sedative. Once the alderman was out cold, that's when Mr. LaBelle killed him. Next, he took the mayor who he had also drugged into the Forbidden Chamber. Then he returned to the Fox Chamber, slipped into some of the mayor's spare clothes, and completed his disguise by donning the amazing Ninetails mask. With this entire charade in place, Mr. LaBelle then let out a scream. The scream that led Jinxie Tenma to the scene. So then... The person who said I killed the alderman Kubai was... Yep, it was Florent LaBelle in disguise. The mayor never actually confessed.
Silence.
This is more than guesswork and speculation. Now stop your jabbering and...
Objection.
No, you twisted samurai! This time you stop your jabbering and let me finish making my case! Ugh. Once Miss Tenma left the scene, Mr. LaBelle, still wearing the mayor's clothes and mask, opened the Forbidden Chamber, so he could drag the mayor back out into the Fox Chamber. Oh, So the amazing nine tails the mayor saw was... Right. It was Mr. LaBelle opening the forbidden chamber. The second time Mr. LaBelle opened the door to the forbidden chamber, he happened to catch the thieving Mr. Filch by surprise. Startled, Mr. Filch, in his Temataro disguise, ran as fast as he could away from the room. As he did, he left behind a trail full of feathers and tracks, and gave Miss Temma a scare for her life in the hallway. With no one left to witness the events that had occurred, Mr. LaBelle had proceeded to drag the sleeping mayor back into the fox chamber. I see. So, that all certainly does make sense. Then, after dragging the mayor back into the fox chamber, Mr. LaBelle threw the mask away out the window and fled the room.
Silence.
For this absurd theory to work, it requires that the defendant be the amazing Ninetails. However, he was the one pushing for the ministerial merger. That such an individual could possibly be the amazing Ninetails is preposterous.
Objection.
The mayor was blackmailed into pursuing the merger. Miss Temma's life would have been in danger if he had openly voiced his opinion. That's why he created a secret identity as the amazing Ninetails. Ugh! This is madness. No one could possibly hatch such an insane plot. No one except a killer as insane as his plot, and I say Florent LaBelle more than qualifies. Foolish mortal! Oh, it is at your own peril that you forfeit who I am. Forget who I am. Mayor Temma, it's okay now. Jinxie will be safe as soon as Mr. LaBelle is arrested. You are the amazing Ninetails, aren't you? Hold it. You have quite the active imagination. Mayor Temma is not the amazing Ninetails.
Objection.
What do you mean? Well, has the mayor admitted to it yet? But that's just... And even if he did admit to such nonsense, I would reveal the truth behind Temataro right here and now. What? Why, you would dare reveal a secret? My good friend, the alderman told me all about it. But it wouldn't be good to expose the truth. What with the superstitions, now would it? The truth behind Temataro? What's he talking about? So go ahead, say it. Say I'm the amazing Ninetails. I dare you.
Objection.
Wait! Will somebody please explain what's going on here? Mayor Temma will do anything to keep the truth behind Temataro a secret. A dark, terrible truth that has been kept secret by the village superstitions. And if the mayor admits to being the amazing Ninetails, you'll expose the truth. Right. I won't have him walking free because of some nonsense you made up. So, what now, Justice Dono? Without the mayor's admission, your theory is as useless as you are in battle. I'll show you who's useless.
Apollo, don't you dare give up now. I know.
Your Honor, I believe Florent Lebel's statement warranted a thorough cross-examination. After all, the true identity of the Amazing Ninetales is the cornerstone of this case. You have a point there. Please answer the court, Mr. Lebel. Is the defendant the Amazing Ninetales or not? The Amazing Ninetales' true identity is not Mayor Tenma. The mayor would never admit to such utter nonsense. But if he did admit to such nonsense, I will expose the truth behind Tenma Taro right here, right now. And that would bring ruin upon Ninetales Vale, just as superstitions say. Talk about out of the pot and into the fire. At this rate, the mayor will be found guilty for sure. Honestly speaking, if Mayor Damien Tenma is not the Amazing Ninetales, I'm afraid I don't see how the defense has much of a case here. And let's just leave it at that, shall we? We all know Alderman Kubai was the Amazing Ninetales anyway. I mean, that's how Ninetales Vale made a comeback. The Alderman was so popular. There's gotta be a hole in that testimony somewhere. But I don't even know where to start. Since we don't have any proof that the mayor is the Amazing Ninetales, we'll just have to get him to admit it himself. But if he admits it, Lebel is going to expose the secret behind Tenma Taro. We're so close, I know it! The defense may cross-examine the witness. I think it's time I wrap things up here. I just need to press one statement. The Amazing Ninetales' true identity is not Mayor Tenma. The mayor would never admit to such utter nonsense. But if he did admit to such nonsense, I will expose the truth behind Tenma Taro right here and now. And that would bring ruin upon Ninetales Vale, just as the superstitions say. Do not gaze upon Tenma Taro. Do not tell others if you see him. Isn't that what the village superstitions say? Exactly. Telling others what Tenma Taro looks like would reveal the truth. That's why the superstitions were written down in the first place. And ruin him coming to the village if you free him. Is that a warning not to expose the truth? Bingo! And that truth is, Tenma Taro is a great, greed-inducing fortune. That's what the whole battle over Ninetales Vale is all about. Tenma Taro is a great fortune? Come to think of it.
Only the greatest get-rich-quick scheme in the universe. Grandpappy told me all about it. Said there's an amazing treasure in there.
Could Tenma Taro actually be... telling the villagers that Tenma Taro is a terrifying yokai is what has scared them away from the Forbidden Chamber and the treasure within. That's how the treasure has been kept secret all this time. Well. It seems our ace attorney here has uncovered the truth that must not be revealed. Mayor Temma looks like he wants to keep the truth hidden as much as I do. Tragedy is doomed to repeat itself as long as Temmataro exists. That's why the secret must be protected. As long as Temmataro exists, huh? Mr. LaBelle, please add that statement to your testimony. Tragedy is doomed to repeat as long as Temmataro exists.
Objection!
Mr. LaBelle, what if Temmataro no longer exists? Revealing the truth would no longer be an issue, would it? If Temmataro no longer existed... What on earth are you talking about? Oh, apparently you haven't heard. Temmataro no longer exists. But I guess you didn't get to do a thorough search after the key was taken from you. Because when we searched the Forbidden Chamber, there wasn't any treasure there. Really? Well, maybe you weren't looking in the right place. Sorry, but I have proof that Temmataro no longer exists. Take a look at this figure. What do we have here? It looks like some sort of creature. We found this in the Forbidden Chamber. It's an Azuki Kozo figure. The great thief Azuki Kozo used to leave them at the scene of his crimes. Are you suggesting that Temmataro has been stolen? Yep, Phineas Filch's grandfather. A master thief was the culprit. And that hideous, moronic caretaker's grandfather, no less. No! My beautiful golden Temmataro was... The greed inspired by Temmataro can no longer bring ruin upon Ninetales Vale. Isn't that right, Mayor Temma? The root of the tragedy would indeed seem to be gone. In fact, I now recall the alderman revealing the secret to me on the day of the meeting. He must have been speaking of Temmataro. For he said to me, the gold ingot is gone. The gold ingot? You mean that treasure? The treasure that is Temmataro's true form? Recall, if you will, the scroll in the Forbidden Chamber. Temmataro is a yellowish object shown there. A giant gold ingot that my nomadic ancestors bestowed upon Ninetales Vale. In turn of that gold nugget, my ancestors did receive from Ninetales Vale land that would become Temmatown. What drive the villagers mad with greed and that great fortune? Bitter was their greed. He fueled battle. It was if they were possessed. My ancestors' gold becomes a curse upon their village. A curse of ruin! Thus, it was that the yokai Temmataro came to be. So Temmataro and the village superstitions were merely fairy tales to scare people away. Fairy tale or not, Temmataro made quite the mess of things. Yes, indeed. For there is no greater monster than a mortal's man's lust for gold.
Well, you know what they say. The love of money is the root of all evil.
My ancestors did bring a terrible thing here to Ninetails Vale. A thing so terrible that Temataro, a monster just as terrible, had to be created to keep it a secret. Yet, we have naught but love for the little village to which we owe our very existence. Temataro would never seek to take over Ninetails Vale in a merger. Oh my! That was quite a shocking lesson in history.
Mr. Mayor, now that you know that Temataro no longer exists, are you ready to admit your secret? You are the Amazing Ninetails, aren't you?
No! Don't do it! Please, no! Begone, you demented demon! Now, where was I? The Gold Lord of Yokai, the Amazing Ninetails, is indeed me.
And that means, Jinxie? Yes? The man wearing the mayor's clothes you saw collapsed on the Fox chamber. Was he wearing the Amazing Ninetails mask? Uh-huh. That's what made me think it was Papa. He said he was going to reveal his secret identity to Alderman Kubai that day, so it really wasn't Papa I saw there, was it?
It was Florent's idea from the start. He advised me to reveal my secret identity to the Alderman.
Yeesh. Rube Goldberg machines have less elaborate setups than LaBelle's scheme.
You may rest easy now, little Jinxie. That monster's deepest deception is through.
Caw, caw, caw! The true facts behind this case have finally come to light. Mayor Tenma did not kill Alderman Kubai, but Florent LaBelle did.
How dare you, peasant?
No!
Silence!
Justice Dono. You should at least have a real blade in your hands if you desire to cross swords with me. Or have you mistaken this battlefield for a training room?
What's this guy want now?
Evidence is like a razor-sharp blade that cuts through bone as though it were butter. But you have only blind guesses. A dull blade, incapable of cutting even a cake. He has you there, Mr. Justice. After all, evidence is everything in a courtroom.
But... That's right. Let's see some evidence. Of course, a perfect being like me wouldn't leave any incriminating evidence behind.
This is the final battle. Just as samurais must live and die by the sword. You will live or die by the evidence you hold. My swift blade of judgment awaits. Now present your conclusive evidence, or don't you have any? Oh, crud. Do I have anything conclusive? Of course I do. Evidence? Oh, I have evidence. You do? Of course. It's just the conclusive evidence we need, too. I'm going to finally prove Mayor Tenma innocent. Here comes justice! Time to enter our mind palace! Let's review the facts. The most damning evidence against the mayor was the crime scene itself. The mayor and the victim were the only two people found in the room. Also, we all thought the alderman was killed because he was the Amazing Ninetales. But as we know now, of course, we were way off. The Amazing Ninetales was really Mayor Damien Tenma. That's why when his daughter Jinxie saw the Amazing Ninetales collapse at the scene, she mistook him for her father. Those are the facts that we have revealed. However, Mr. LaBelle asserts that he did not leave any evidence at the scene of the crime. But he didn't say anything about evidence outside the crime scene. Maybe he isn't as clever as he thinks he is. Does any of the evidence found outside of the crime scene provide clues? Oh, I know. The Amazing Ninetales mask. It was found washed up along the river. What sort of clue does that mask hold? And what about the hair left in the mask? Who does it belong to? Oh, right. That hair is Florent LaBelle's. Yes. Now that's what I call conclusive evidence. Well, Mr. Justice, do you have conclusive evidence to present to this court? Of course I do. Observe this mask, if you will. That mask? How does that conclude evidence? It's not the mask itself, but the white hair inside it. We originally thought it belonged to the alderman Rex Kubai. Yes, but the Amazing Ninetales, as we know now, is the Mayor Tenma, so? That is correct. So the question is, whose hair could this be? And the answer to that is at least one person to have worn it before it was discarded. That would be you, Mr. Florent LaBelle. What are you talking about? I never had hideous white hair like that.
Silence.
It would appear your coup de grace failed to hit its mark. This freakish fop is not the white hair type. Because he's busy being one ludicrously garish color or another.
Objection!
No, Prosecutor Blackquill. It's you who has made a fatal error. What? Remember where this mask was found. It washed up by the side of the river. With that in mind, this last piece of evidence will solve all of the remaining riddles.
Take that!
That's... What is that? This is Mr. LaBelle's own private brand of hair color. It washes out with just water. The court will also recall that the amazing Ninetales mask washed up along the side of the village river with white hair inside it. What's this? Are you saying that preening peacock's hair color is... That's exactly what I'm saying. Mr. LaBelle's hair color is a freaky work of fiction. But thanks to the river flowing through the Ninetales Vale, we now have a real-life expose. Ugh! The white hair in this mask is conclusive evidence proving you're the real killer. A DNA test is all we need to prove it, and we both know we'll get a match. Admit it! Florent LaBelle! You were the one who killed Alderman Rex Kubai! Breakdown! You peasant! How dare you! You, my perfume, my beauty! No! My makeup! I present to you the real killer, Florent LaBelle with white hair. Hello, this is LaBelle. What? The project is off? This is LaBelle. The sponsors have pulled it off? Pulled it out? The sponsors that pulled out? LaBelle speaking. I'm fired? You mean I'm no longer Mayor Tenma's aide? Hello, this is LaBelle. What? There's a stratophoric damages claim against me? $100 million? I'm finished! Washed up! Stick a fork at me! I'm done! This is preposterous. I, Simon Blackquill, defeated? Order! Order! Order in this court! Well, this is quite an unexpected outcome. I must hand it to you, Mr. Justice. You really turned this case on its head, just like that other lawyer, Phoenix Wright. Wait, that was a compliment, right? Prosecutor Blackquill, what have you done with Florent LaBelle? The defaced man has withered like a flower without water. One of the officers is currently tending to him with a sprinkler. Wouldn't that just wash even more of his makeup off? Allow me to explain the actions of the guilty party in detail. The motive, of course, was to steal the gold ingot known as Tenma Taro. However, few are allowed into the manor due to its cultural ties to Ninetales Vale. LaBelle will set in motion plans to gain access to the manor and the gold within via the manor. But the efforts of the amazing Ninetales saw those plans come to a halt. And thus LaBelle murdered the alderman and attempted to pin the blame on Mayor Tenma. I see. But What I still can't comprehend is why would he go after the gold in the first place? Mr. LaBelle doesn't look like someone who is in need of financial aid. LaBelle hid his past well. Much like he hid his beauty with makeup, he married into debt. He's married in debt. Debt due to pouring money into a brand only he could love. Which is why he sought the gold with such ferocity. Too bad for him. Someone else had gotten to it first anyway. I see. Very well then. I believe it's time to declare my verdict. This court finds the defendant, Damien Emma, not guilty! Court is adjourned. That was some seriously good lawyering, Apollo. Even I didn't see that coming. I got lucky, I guess. You banished Tenmataro from Ninetails Vale, like you were some kind of exorcist.
There's still one thing I don't understand. How come Mr. LaBelle didn't kill Mayor Tenma, too? He could have set it up so the mayor murdered the alderman, then died from a counterattack. That would have removed at least one possible fly from the ointment.
I was wondering about that too. But I have a hunch LaBelle was biding his time. He was planning on exposing the Amazing Ninetails' true identity himself. Huh? But why? Because the mayor was the Amazing Ninetails. Had LaBelle succeeded in framing Mayor Tenma for the alderman's murder, the wrestler's popularity would have plummeted once his identity was revealed. Oh, I get it! If the Amazing Ninetails was just killed, he'd die a hero. But if he was proven a villain, his fans would have abandoned him, making the merger that much easier. Right. Then, when the merger was complete and everything cooled down, he'd be able to search for the Forbidden Chamber at his leisure.
What an insanely intricate plot.
Caw, 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 caw.
A most excellent job clearing my name. A feat worthy of the Demon Lord's approval. Why are you acting like Tenmataro again? Let this be of no concern to you. How could it not concern me?
Tenmataro, be gone!
Gah! Jinxie, it seems like ages since I had laid eyes on you.
Papa, you're finally back.
Yes, it would seem Tenmataro is no match for you.
I'm not scared of that silly yokai anymore. Your father's a free man now, Jinxie. Isn't that great? Thank you for all you've done. Seeing you guys in action, it made me feel like I don't have to be afraid anymore.
Wait, is Jinxie actually smiling? This is all thanks to you two. Too bad the Amazing Ninetails will have to retire though.
Aw, how come?
Once everyone hears I'm the Amazing Ninetales, my fans will know side. After all, I'm not the most popular of people. Another reason for my secret identity. I don't see how I could possibly continue.
I think you've misjudged yourself. Take a look outside.
Say, now that you mention it, what's all that noise out there? A big crowd gathered outside the courthouse once the news broke. Seems they want to get a glimpse of Mayor Damien Tenma, the man behind the mask. And to root for your return to the wrestling ring. Rooting for me? But I thought I was nothing more than a male factor in their eyes.
The only one who really matters is Jinxie. Show her how cool you really are. Yeah, you're the coolest when you're out there fighting in the ring, Papa.
Jinxie. Here, I think you'll be needing this.
Take that!
Thank you. Now if you will excuse me. I don't want to keep my fans waiting.
Ninetales Vale forever!
I sure hope they can settle the problems between Tenma Town and Ninetales Vale.
Me too. I'm sure they'll be fine. After all, the blackmailer slash killer is behind bars, and the merger no longer an issue. Plus, the Amazing Ninetales is obviously to a hilt. And I suspect Ninetales Vale will be too. And it's all because we believed in our client, just like you said.
Okay, people. Now that we've gotten that one in the bag, let's go get something to eat. I'm starving.
Sounds good. I've been so nervous I haven't eaten since yesterday.
Better keep eating, Apollo. Or you might have to start looking up to me.
Huh? I'm definitely past my growth phase. And you should be about past yours too.
Are you kidding me? I'm just getting started. Ready or not, it's face stuffing time.
Keep eating like that, and the only direction you'll grow is sideways.
Very funny. But I've got a hollow leg. Hig, I can eat as much as I want without gaining an ounce.
Really? Wow. I can't wait to see.
Calories? Ha! Just let them try to stick on me.
Alright, already, you two. Let's get going before the old man closes shop. Eldoon Noodles isn't an all-night stand, you know. I'm with Mr. Wright. Let's go!
I've been waiting to have a bowl from there ever since Mr. Wright told me about them. Well, what are we waiting for?
The noodles are on me today, so I expect some serious eating from you two.
Yay! Thanks, boss. I won't let you down.
Athena has no idea what she's getting into. Mr. Eldoon's noodles are so hot and salty! 2 bowls would kill a man!
That was our first case together.
And it felt like nothing could bring us down after that. The dark age of the lost seemed of a distant, so irrelevant to our small cozy office. But little did I know that it had been lurking all along, right there before us. The first time it made itself known was during the murder at Themis Legal Academy. That case could mark the twilight before the dark, cold night that was to come. And that concludes this case for the Apollo Justice Trilogy. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, hit that like and subscribe button. Leave a comment if you want. Ring that bell to be notified when our next video comes out. We do new videos every Tuesday, Thursday, and occasionally Saturday and Sundays. All this helps my channel to grow so you have more videos to enjoy. Until the next episode, this is Saur Darkchylde, signing off. Have a good night, folks, and enjoy the trailer for the next case in the game.
Captain Marla! Ye made it just in time!